KVRK, Sanger, Dallas, Fort Worth, 89.7 Power FM. It's time for Power Talk. Power FM's public affairs program with Rick Walker. Stay tuned as Rick explores the issues affecting us today.
This is Rick Walker. You're tuned into Power Talk on 89.7 Power FM. I hope you are having an amazing summer. I hope you've had a little time to get some vacation in, or maybe you're about to, but you need to rest, relax. I went on a little vacation, and I had no idea how badly I needed just to unplug from civilization. It was amazing. I've got a guest here that he's been a long-time listener, actually, and we've had him on before. This is a story that so many of you can relate to, and especially as you're growing up. And I found junior high especially. Junior high was just, oh man. But it's the topic of bullying. And have you ever been bullied, or maybe you are a bully? There's been a lot of exposure in the news about people being pushed beyond their limit because of bullies, just tormenting and teasing and poking and incessantly just will not leave them alone, picking on them, driving them to do mass school shootings, or driving them to kill themselves. And it's a terrible epidemic around our nation, around our schools. And with me, I've got a guest, Josh Harper. He's been here before. He's also been a victim of severe bullying. Josh, hey man, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Rick. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's good to have you. And we had you on over a year ago, and you were a single man, telling us about your amazing story of being bullied and how you got healing from all that. Now I understand you're a married man.
Yes, sir, I am. She is the love of my life, and I'm so happy to have her.
Awesome. And you got married last September?
Last September, yes, sir.
Woohoo! All right. Well, congratulations, man. That's awesome. Okay, Josh, let's talk about the topic of bullying. And you've got a page on Facebook, Voice of the Bully. This has hit home pretty close to you. I mean, it really pushed you. For those who don't know your story, let's delve into your past, and let's talk about you and how you were bullied and what kind of impact that had on you. Tell me a little bit about your past, your upbringing.
Absolutely. Well, from the age of going into school, from pre-kindergarten into kindergarten, it started a series of 12 straight years of nonstop bullying. In elementary, it went as far as people calling my name and tossing a ball at my face so it would hit my glasses and break them.
Wow.
Then in middle school, I was jumped twice. Again, another person grabbing his arm right over my glasses, again breaking them. My dad probably went through a total of 20 to 25 pairs of glasses in my school history because bullies decided that they were going to break them. And then we get into high school, and we have things like them taking my Bible that I carried around daily, and breaking into my locker, taking my Bible, and defaming my Bible.
Mm-hmm. Now, Josh, let me ask you, why do you think you were picked on?
When I was younger, I was bulky. I wore glasses, and I'm not talking like the thin glasses that we have now. I'm talking about the Coke bottle glasses, the big, thick glasses. To be called a geek, a nerd, that was what I was called, and there's just basically the glasses. I mean,
mm-hmm.
And plus the other thing was I have and always had a very strong Christian upbringing. Mm-hmm. My mom made sure I was in church every Sunday, and so when I would go to school, my Bible was with me. If someone wasn't doing something right, something according to the Bible, I would come up and I would say, "Hey, that's not right. This is what the Word of God says." And I was not ashamed of that gospel of Christ, and so they would make fun of me in that aspect as well.
So you were basically a target because of your Christianity and having the big thick glasses, and you were a little bit bulky. And okay, what hurt worse, Josh, the words or the physical bullying?
Well, of course, the physical bullying hurt, but the physical bullying only lasts as long as the wound or the scar that they leave. But the spiritual the spiritual side of things, that lasts for a heck of a lot longer.
Yeah.
Because then if you think about it, like the way I did it is, because they were bullying me, my self-esteem went so far downhill that I didn't care about myself. And to this day, I'm still fighting with self-esteem issues, a failure spirit. That every time I try to do something, I have to get approval or get my wife to tell me, oh, no, this is good or this isn't good or something like that. I have to have that because of this spirit of failure that has come upon me whenever I was a younger age because of all the bullying.
Well, and I want to talk about the lowest point that you ever hit. I want to talk about that, and then I want to look at some signs. What are signs someone's getting bullied, and then what can we do when we see it? So I want to peel apart this topic one layer at a time. You're listening to Power Talk on 89.7 Power FM. Our guest is Josh Harper. Josh, how old are you?
I am 31 years old.
31 years old, and you were bullied basically all your school life, from pre-kindergarten through your senior year. You were a target of bullying. You were a victim of bullying, and to this day, you're 31 years old, and you still have issues with you mentioned self-esteem and things like that. So let me ask you a question. How, looking back, is there anything you could have done differently? Is there something like you know now, you're armed with a lot of experience, a lot of information. What would you have done differently looking back?
Looking back, there's a couple of things I would have done. What the biggest question is what would I have done the same? The things I would have done the same is I would have still been the religious person I am today. I mean, and I hate that word religion, but that's exactly what I was back in those days. Because it was what I was raised with and what I was brought up to. What I would do differently is I would probably take a little more care of myself. That's the one thing that I didn't do, that if I had have done, probably about the high school age, the bullying probably would have stopped.
Okay.
If I had been active, if I had played sports or stuck to sports, done things that would have made me lose weight, made me do things. Again, this would have been solely on me, on no one else but me, and so that way, if I had been able to do that, I believe I would have been a little bit skinnier, and I would have been able to talk to people a little bit better. But other than that, I would probably still been a loner. I would probably still been a person, because I am the type of person that would like to watch, listen, then enter in.
Okay. So this is interesting, and this is good. So you would have been a little more proactive in your health, taking care of yourself, maybe watching your weight, and that does help your self-esteem too when you start feeling better about yourself, and because you're exercising and it's releasing chemicals in your body that does make you feel better, and you slim down. But here's the other thing, and let me ask you, because I recall from our interview over a year ago. You hear the old adage, well, if you're getting bullied, just tell someone in authority and it'll all go, they'll make sure it's all good. And you did that. That didn't do it. I mean, tell me about that. Did you talk to authorities? You were getting picked on. You went through 25 pairs of broken glasses from bullying. It was day after day. It never stopped. Did you go to the school counselor? Did you go to the principal? And what did they do or not do?
Oh yeah, I went there. I went and talked to them. They brought the kids in, and they just denied it as usual. But the thing about it is back in those days there wasn't an emphasis on bullying.
Okay,
there was not a movie out there that depicted a kid being bullied. That movie, whenever I saw it, it was actually in April of last year, very recently after my accident, that I got to watch that movie, and I saw that kid being picked on, and then I saw the teacher telling the kid, "Oh, why don't you just leave him alone?" Well, it's not about you leaving him alone; it's about him leaving you alone.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to deal with a lot. Well, just stay away from them, ignore them. How many kids do you know that can ignore someone that's constantly berating them?
Yeah. It's unreal. So the authorities, and back then, you're right, they didn't take bullying as seriously, but now I think they do, and maybe it's a little more proactive. I hope that it's more helpful and proactive. But wouldn't you say that's an important step, is to expose the bullying, go talk to the school counselor, tell the principal? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to find out if other things you would suggest people do if they find themselves in your shoes where you were being bullied, and I want to find out how that impacted you. But what would you recommend for listeners who are listening and they're like, "Man, Josh, I feel you. I mean, I'm bullied. There's especially this one person that, what's your advice to them?"
Tell your story. My Facebook page is out there for that reason. Tell your story. The thing is for the longest time I couldn't tell my story because it was painful for whatever reason. But there's a difference between keeping it bottled in and then releasing it. And once you release your story, all of a sudden you notice, hey, I just told my story and there's other people like me. Now we have a community of people who can actually talk to you and actually gather some information from you and pray for you, because I know I needed prayer whenever I was in school, because if I didn't tell someone, it was just being pushed down to the point where I would explode. Now in my adult years, one of the side effects of that is if something's not done right at a restaurant or something not done right at, over the phone through a company or something like that, all of a sudden now I'm exploding on them because of this past history. So to all the teenagers out there, to all the kids out there, tell your story. Do not hesitate to tell your story, because that's the way you start the healing process. You cannot, the wound itself cannot heal until all the infection is out of it.
Good point. We're hearing from Josh Harper, voice of the bully. It's interesting to hear how he was bullied, how he has recovered. And I'm hearing a theme, and that's to tell authority. Tell your school counselor, tell your principal, tell authority, and then also tell your story. Get the healing process going. Josh, what was the low point for you?
I had several. There was a couple times where I would walk in, and this all stems from the 12 years of bullying, and of course this is after high school. But I would walk into bathrooms, look in the mirror, and point at myself and tell myself, "I hate you." Wow. And there were times where I would get to a point where I would turn on Power FM, or at that time it was Power Mix, or Lighthouse 21, and I would turn on the radio, and one song would pull me out of a mode of possibly committing suicide. Wow. That's powerful. And I remember, John, I remember you calling in, and we would talk to you quite often, and sometimes pray with you. And I remember that. And it's a shame that we allow people to be bullied in our schools, and I hope it's getting better, but I just can't help but think there's so many victims of bullying that and I think what you're saying is very healing, to tell authority, to tell your story. And by the way, your Facebook page, so it's called Voice of the Bully, and what is that? Well, Voice of the Bullied is just that. It's a landing ground for people to tell their story, to tell what they've been through, to tell what they're going through. It is meant for a point of healing. So what I wanted to do in making this Facebook page is have people tell their story and kind of eventually I want to be able to make a blog to where they can tell their story anonymously, to where they're not having to worry about will the bully see this, will they not see this. I mean, definitely tell your story. I mean, there will be times where and it's coming up where I'll have quotes of people who've been bullied, or I'll have different things, different pictures associated with it, to kind of help the healing process, to help us laugh together, because there are times where people tend to want to laugh, where laughter makes the healing process better. So the Bible talks about joy does good as medicine.
That's right. That's right.
So if we can laugh at it, I mean, laugh at some picture of a big, huge boxer covering a lamb, and saying, okay, which way did the bully go? Yeah. I mean, if we can laugh at something like that, then we can definitely be bringing healing into the mix.
Well, and I think of, for instance, if we look back in history, in our lives, with Columbine and was it Dylan and was it Dylan and Clinton? Anyway, the shooters at Columbine, they, they were. The reports were they were bullied, and when you push a bully, the bully is pushing, and you're becoming a victim. You get pushed and pushed. All of a sudden, I think there can be a breaking point where you do flip. You do flip the switch, and you either kill yourself, or you turn violent, or you lash out, or you break down. But eventually you get picked on, and all of a sudden, I just wonder, those who were being bullied when shells were riddling the library in Columbine, all of a sudden it's not such a laughing matter. It's not it's a totally different situation. And we're hearing account after account of people lashing out, people shooting. I had an interview, Josh, on my, on the show here. I don't know, it's probably a couple of years ago, about a guy who was pushed so hard being bullied. He took matters into his own hands. He felt his life was threatened. He would get beat up, and this guy followed him to his house. He lived in the country, and he thought, this is it. This guy's going to kill me. So you know what he did? He grabbed a gun, turned it on the bully, and shot him dead. And he got in a lot of legal trouble. But it gets to a point where you push, and the hurt turns and twists, and people will, all of a sudden, the victims will lash out. Obviously, we don't want people lashing out. We don't want people bullying. So talk to me for a second. If you're in school and you're in gym class, or you're in athletics, or you're watching some kid getting bullied, what do you suggest happens? What would help? And did anyone ever come to your rescue?
No one ever came to my rescue. I was never really good at making friends. That was the big thing. I was never really good at making friends. But here's the thing: make friends. Yeah. If you have a hard time making friends, then find someone else you see getting bullied and make friends with them. Because the thing is a bully, what they will do is they'll get an entourage of people around them, cheering them on, egging them on. So why not you do the same? Get you an entourage of people cheering you on, egging you on, so that whenever a bully does come against you, you have a team to back you up and say, no, this isn't cool, man.
Yeah. And what about someone observing the bullying going on? I mean, what would you advise they do?
To those who observe it, you are not a bystander in this. If you see it and you continue to let it happen, you are just much at fault for being the bully as the bully is. Mm-hmm.
And at the
someone.
Yeah, so and tell that's just I was going to say, doesn't it give a little more credence, and wouldn't that have helped in your situation? Because when you told authorities, they were like, well, they thought it was just as much you as it was the other kid, and y'all are just need to get along, shake hands, and move on about your day. Wouldn't it have helped if 8, 9, 10 people went to that principal and said, I can't believe what I just saw happen to Josh by little Joey here, big bully, and then all of a sudden the principal, the counselors are hearing, oh yeah, we're getting several complaints. So yeah, tell somebody. I mean, obviously that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah, that's the repeating theme here. Okay, so man, I just this is so fascinating to just peel this apart and look at. And I want to mention too, Josh Harper. We're interviewing Josh. He's got a Facebook page called Voice of the Bully, so you can go check that out. Hearing about his life, I want to find out, Josh, where things got better, because you had several low points. You went through 25 pairs of broken glasses. You were targeted not only for your Christian walk, but you were targeted because you had thick glasses. You were a little thick, and people picked on you. It was hurtful, hurt your self-esteem, and obviously there was a turning point, because I talked to you, and I remember vividly talking to you even 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when you would call Lighthouse 21 or, I remember, but you sound so much more confident. You sound like something has happened, something's clicked in your life, and obviously there's been some healing. So talk about that. What happened?
Well, it does stem to about a couple years ago. Well, first of all, I got back together with my wife. I mean, my wife, I love her so much. She's always been the one to stand by me and to support me no matter what endeavor and everything else. That helps to have someone that you can turn to and tell a story to and everything else. The other thing is I grew up. When you grow up, I mean, there are hurts, there are pains of your past that you can either do one of two things to. You can either continue pushing them down to later on be a problem, or you can push them out and start telling your story to more people.
Right.
And it started whenever I was least confident. Last year, when we first had our conversation, I was at the point where I had just come off a fast, and so I was very weak, and I was very vulnerable to different things. And so whenever I came off and I was stuttering and I was everything else, that was part of my insecurity. It's taking God coming into myself and saying, no, you're not a child that you were. You're not the child that you were. That's in the past. It took my wife saying, you're not working out. You're not doing this because of what happened back then. Well, that was 10, 15 years ago. When are you going to go grow up?
Yeah.
And be the man that really God called you to be.
Yeah, that's excellent. Josh Harper's our guest. You're listening to Power Talk on 89.7 Power FM, and his Facebook page is Voice of the Bully. And Josh, we're going to wrap things up, but I'm hearing a theme, and here's what I'm pulling from this whole conversation, and it's fascinating, and I want to encourage people that, you know what, bullying does not go away. I mean, it seems junior high, wow, seems like a lot of insensitivity, a lot of, and it seems like it got better, in high school from my observation point, but not if you're being bullied. It's severe every day. But what I'm saying is, you know what, at my work, there are bullies at my work, at my job. There are people, you will encounter bullies all through life, and to learn how to manage, to not let words destroy your spirit, your self-esteem, to be able to know who you are, to be confident. But here's what I'm hearing, that number one is to tell. If you see it happening, go tell authority. Hey, Billy's bullying Josh. Go tell authority, because that helps. And then you go tell authority. Tell your principal, school counselor, your youth pastor, and then also tell your story. Tell your story. It's healing. It's therapeutic. But then I also hear you say getting a support group around you, someone that you can tell your story to, and that might mean a youth group. In your case, your wife. Your life partner, your wife, your soulmate, or it could be other people who are getting picked on at school, but to have that support group around you. All these are awesome tips, Josh. Anything else you want to add to our conversation, or just to close us out with, what would you like to add?
Well, the Facebook page, again, that is something that I have over the year tried to finesse. I mean, there's still not a lot on there, but definitely come tell your story. That is www.facebook.com, VOTB, that's V as in voice, O as in of, T as in the, B as in bullied, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And you can easily go to that website right there and voice what's happening to you.
Excellent.
And this website will not, and I repeat, will not allow for bullies to post on this site. I will delete them immediately.
Okay, so VOTB.2012.
Yeah.
Excellent.
VOTB 2012, yeah.
All right, VOTB 2012. All right. Hey, Josh, man, what a great show. I really appreciate you. Appreciate your story, your testimony, and you were bullied, you were picked on, and yet God's turned that around, and now you're ministering to other people who are going through this, and who knows, in eternity, we don't know what kind of impact we're having, but maybe you prevented a Columbine from happening. Maybe the restoration, that the therapy, you're providing people to voice and to get healing and to speak into their lives. So kudos. I appreciate what you're doing. So
Rick, before we go,
yeah,
I would like to say one thing.
Yeah.
If there is someone out there contemplating suicide, I want to first tell you straight up that there's no need for that, because I'll tell you straight up, God loves you with everything in you. You feel you're lonely, you feel abused by this bullying, you feel a lot of things. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a woman, if you're a teenage girl, you are beautifully and wonderfully made. You are a masterpiece of His creation. Same thing to the guys. You are a masterpiece of God's creation, a piece of fine art in a gallery. That's how God sees you.
Excellent.
So, understand, you are that person that God has made you. God doesn't make trash.
Yeah.
God makes pieces of beautifully crafted fine art.
Excellent.
And that's who you are.
Excellent word, Josh. Man, I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate the show, the topic. And once again, you can go to his Facebook page, Voice of the Bully. It's VOTB.2012. Josh, we're about out of time, but man, I appreciate it. And we'll definitely have to do one of these again in the near future. And need to get you up here in the studio. Maybe we can take calls next time.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
Okay, Josh. God bless. We'll see you.
All right, cool, man.
Bye-bye. And that's going to wrap us up. That's Josh Harper. What an amazing testimony of God's healing in a life that was bullied, and yet God restored and turned it around. Now he's reaching out to other people who are being bullied, and really appreciate his time. Well, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a topic, a suggestion, it's rick@kvrk.com. We'll see you next Sunday right here on the Christian Rock Station.
This has been Power Talk. If there's a topic you would like to hear on Power Talk, email rick@kvrk.com. And make sure to join us next week for another edition of Power Talk on 89.7 Power FM.